Welcome to the web series show. On today's episode, we'll meet the creators of the web series, The Bomb Shelter. When I came across their series, what I really found interesting was they were able to create a web series in one central location. Now that's not easy to do. It was funny and entertaining and took place in that one location. Let's take a look.
Where were you last night?
Sweetheart, please, you're making a scene.
I don't care.
Bill, I'm sorry. Lisa and I didn't mean for this to happen. It's not something we planned. The heart wants what it wants.
I want more out of life, Bill. All you do is read your book. You have no drive, no ambition. You know what Frank did today? He alphabetized the fruit.
Did you know we have two types of peaches?
I saw a story on 2020 once about a guy who would get up in the middle of the night and make love to sheep. Leave me alone!
Oh, sweetheart, it's okay. It's just a pet.
Is everything all right?
Yes, I'm just fine. He just had a nightmare.
Garden gnomes again?
They're everywhere.
To create a web series in general, the idea was just we'd wanted to do something for so long, and with the way things are nowadays, we figured we could just do this on our own without anybody's permission.
Right.
And for the idea itself, you read about stuff and it says, whatever you do, try to keep it small. Right. Try to find a small location. Yeah. So I had an idea for a story a while back, which involved a guy who wanders through the desert. Okay. He's sort of like this nomadic character, and everybody I talked to said, like, we're not shooting in the desert.
Disneyland and all this
big stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I started thinking, I'm like, well, where would this guy have come from? And it's supposed to be this post-apocalyptic world, and we figured, well, maybe he started off in this little bomb shelter. So we figured that would simplify things. Right.
He has tons of ideas and all these little screenplays, and he's always wanting to shoot them. And it's massive budgets that you're talking about with all the locations, and this was the first idea.
You don't think about that when you write, though. No. You're just like, we'll work this out later.
Yeah.
But this was the first idea in that single location. Right. And I thought, all right, I think we can actually do this.
It's funny because the one thing that was the most difficult, which I didn't pay attention to, we had the small little location, we're trying to keep things simple, and one of the things you just write, a line of it's like, and they're surrounded by thousands of cans.
Right.
And my wife said, where are we going to get these cans from? And I said, it's not going to be an issue. So what was it, like 3-4 days before we started shooting? We were like, where are we going to get these cans? We couldn't find cans anywhere. So we had to make 500 cans.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, you keep it small, but in your mind, you just don't see the little things that can still really become very big.
We rented a warehouse in Van Nuys, which was great, and we had it for a couple months. So we knew we could just kind of set our ground in there.
It started off, we were going to have it for maybe a month. Okay. And then, I thought I could build the set in a week,
right.
Which became 3 weeks. And then shooting became much longer. So we had it in
Yeah,
Van
we had
Nuys.
hoped to find a place, that had the cinder block walls and all this. This had none of it. It had a staircase in the back, so we had to build a fake wall to block all of it out.
Yeah.
And so it was painting all the walls to make it look like he did the whole floor because he didn't like the it was like the oil-stained concrete, so it covered all that
So we got flooring and then sponge painted the floor.
Oh, great.
It rolled the sponge painted. So.
Really, really impressive.
Well, we're both actors. Both went to school for it. I studied theater in Philadelphia. Mindy studied musical theater in New York. So we actually we met in Florida, and we both realized we had this same connection. That's how we first got together. And when we moved to California, we said we wanted to work.
Okay.
So we used our backgrounds to do that.
Well, coming to production, I felt confident from an actor standpoint. I felt like I knew how to cast. With theater background, it was kind of like hair and makeup, wardrobe, all that stuff came easy. Finding the crew, and we had massive problems with hair and makeup, finding an artist for that. And it was also difficult because we basically paid for it all ourselves, completely financed it, therefore we couldn't really afford to pay anybody.
Right.
So we did a deferred pay, which basically meant everybody donated their time and talent to us for free.
And that being said, it's amazing how many people really want to be part of something. That's one thing that's amazing out here is everybody really wants to be a part of something that they believe in. Right. They believe in doing. So we found some great people. We worked under a SAG contract, a new media contract.
Oh, great.
And we had some really dedicated people. That was something we were really worried about, being one of the biggest challenges, but it turned out to be one of the easier things.
Because you're thinking, all right, we have kind of a tight schedule.
Right.
in the sense of trying to get everybody's schedules to mesh, and you don't want to interfere with anybody's jobs, because obviously they have to still make money since they're working for us for free. And so kind of juggling all that was a bit of a challenge, but we got really lucky with the people who worked with us. It was time consuming. I would say they have it set up now, which is great, because we were going to some workshops that SAG held to tell you how to do the new media contract, so that was really helpful, and they have it on their website now, which is, you know, so you can go to the production center, see everything you need to do. I would say, if people are doing this, do not wait to the last minute. Give yourself a minimum of a month to do it, because I don't know if a lot of people are doing it. When we first started it, they had just changed over the person in charge. So it took a lot of time, but essentially it's really easy to do.
Technically it's simple to do, but I think the thing that is really time consuming is, but they're still new at it. So it's interesting. That's one thing you really get to see is SAG, who's such a professional and long-standing organization. They don't know what they're doing sometimes, and they're willing to admit we're new to this, so we're trying to figure it out. So everybody's kind of on the ground floor. I guess one thing is it's unique is it is in such a tight little confined area. It's trying to find a unique story to tell in that kind of an area and keep it interesting. Just the fact that one thing about our show is they're in this bomb shelter and people keep saying, well, are you ever going to tell us why? What's the disaster? And my intent is to never tell anybody why. Nobody ever mentions it. So one of the challenges is to get through this without ever having any actor or any character say anything about being in a bomb shelter. So I think that's unique to us, is we're trying to show stories of these people's lives as if they're not confined.
And what I like about it too is I went to school in New York and studied theater, and so theater has basically been my background. Move out to LA, different breeds of people. Film and TV versus theater, very different. And we were able to find basically all theater-trained actors. And then what ended up being interesting is the way we shot is kind of similar to, I guess, a sitcom in the sense that you have that fourth wall, which is just like theater. It's like a stage. So I thought that was kind of fun, is it was kind of a nice blend between both worlds. And all the actors understood it because it was their background.
Well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great process. And we had a lot of people come in who were very, very nice and talented, and we had a lot of people come in who were just completely insane. Completely insane.
Not a lot, but a few.
Handful, where people would say, hey, I would have called you, but instead of coming through the gate, I just hopped your fence. I had one guy tell me, he's like, listen, I know what the character is, but I've decided not to do the character the way you guys told me to. I'm just going to do the whole thing with a southern drawl, and I'm going to change the dialogue. And I said, sure, go ahead. And someone had to come in and help me and actually remove him from the room.
All right.
So, but
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I love casting, and it was the first time I had ever been on the other side in LA with the LA casting and Actors Access and getting all those submissions. And so it was kind of fun getting to scroll through and be like, oh, so this is what they see.
It is definitely interesting as an actor to be on that side.
Been one of several projects. It's the first one where we were both on kind of the production side of it. We've done a bunch of theater together, and we shot a bunch of shorts together, all of stuff that he's done. But this is the first time I kind of had some creative input too, because we're both sort of control freaks.
And then it's been, that's true. And it's been on this kind of a professional level where we are in charge of everything. So it definitely, when you're an actor and you're not getting along so well, you don't speak, or you stand in separate parts of the behind the stage. Here, if you're in a fight, you've still got to get the catering. You've still got to work out the scheduling. So I think you really have to learn. It's funny, you do have to learn how to separate your emotion from what needs to be done. And I think that
can be a little stressful.
It can be stressful, but I think when you come through it, it definitely strengthens it.
We went on to productionhub.com and mandy.com, and I think most of the people that we found was through Production Hub. And it was interesting because I think putting our notices up there, I believe it also linked to our website. So we would have some people come directly to our website and fill in the submission box saying, hi, I saw your stuff. And so that was kind of, it was like people actually coming to us, not us just going to them, which was nice. And again,
a lot of the crew that we met with right away, sometimes you just get a really good feel for a person. And some of us got along so well that we're still friends now, but the thing would be, I wanted to make sure we didn't go past 8 hours because I didn't want to take advantage of anybody, and I always hated being on a set. One of the things I hate is someone saying, "Do you have any idea how long the day is going to go?" And you get this attitude like, "How dare you just not be here for us whenever we need you?" So I remember the first day we had to go. We were going to go long, and I said, "Listen, it's totally up to you guys." At first, I just said, "Let's cut." And someone came to me and said, "Well, why don't we shoot longer?" And I said, "Well, it would be up to you." And they all said, "No, we want to stay." So the crew, they would call on days we weren't working and said, "Do you need anything? Can we come in today and help out?" So I think it was a real experience to show you that instead of, anybody out there who might want to make something and think, "Well, I don't want to ask people to help," because how dedicated will these people be? There are a lot of people out there really willing to help make a good product. One thing is just do it. Just no matter what, do it. Because when you start thinking about one thing, we would sit and we would think, well, this might get expensive. What if we don't have time to finish this? What if this doesn't look as good as, what if we can't get music for it? So it's just, my thing is just do it, because no matter how tough it was, even though it started to get a little more expensive, it's just, I know you may have a different answer. You may have a different answer. We have two different schools of thought. Mine is, no matter what, it's just have a positive attitude and just make sure you just try to go through it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Go ahead.
I felt like the biggest thing we learned was we needed more pre-production work. So I wouldn't say just go out and do it. I would say there are things you need to plan for.
Sure.
And I think a lot of it depends on how long you're going to shoot for. We were trying to get everything done because our DP had other projects he was going to work on. So our initial goal was to try and condense everything, get as much done as possible before he had, we lost him to another project. Sure. Didn't happen. We lost him to another project, but luckily we were able to find somebody else to finish the last few episodes.
Right.
But that would be my big thing is if you're going to have wardrobe, because that was a big thing for us, is we figured, we got the first couple episodes, but then, I was working a full-time job, so it was kind of like when I'm not working, then I'd be out trying to find, costume pieces or props.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, definitely have all your ducks in a row before you start.
Yeah, if there's strange props you're looking for, try and get them, before the
morning you're shooting. Before the morning you're shooting. Yeah.
The more you can get before you start, the better off you're going to be. So if you can just plan what you need for each episode.
And if I can say one thing, aside from the technical aspect, one thing is, I think, have a story that you really want to tell. Have something that you really believe in telling, as opposed to, we run into a lot of people who say, "I really just want to shoot something, so I'm trying to think of what to shoot." And I think that comes across. If you find something that you really want to shoot, or something that you love, or a story you really want to tell, I think you need that before you just try to do something.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of the actor ego too, is they want to showcase themselves, they want to put themselves out there, but the thing is, you're shooting yourself in the foot if it's not about this, there's this, there are the people who want to be artists, and then there are people that want the fame, and I really think that if you're going to do it yourself, you go for the artistry, go for the story, because that's what people will want to watch.
Yeah, you got to serve your audience. That's the thing sometimes people forget is, you're doing this for an audience to enjoy. You're not doing this because you want people to see what you're doing, so. We have a website right now. We're linked in through Facebook. We're doing Twitter.
We're up on IMDb.
IMDb.
It's kind of been, I did marketing for a theater once, so I had all these ideas, but he kind of put a hold on it because we want to go onto Indiegogo and try and raise some money back so that we can pay everybody. And he wanted to wait until we had at least 3 episodes, so that I could tell the story for people. So that's kind of, we've been waiting. We're pulling little things out here and there with the Facebook and the fans and Twitter and all that.
You get a feel for it with certain people, but that's one thing too. I'd say is people sometimes get very excited because they have something to release, an episode to release, or just something, and they put it out there. But then it sits there forever, and I believe you need to be able to hit, but then also continue. Yes. Before you can really start hitting with the marketing. I almost feel like nowadays it's becoming so mainstream. There's even, Apple TV? Mm-hmm. I guess it's getting to the point where you're going to be able to just turn on your television and flip through YouTube and watch content. I think the big thing is with the marketing, though, is just to tell people like mom and dad, you get them on there, they see it, then they can show their friends, and they see it. But it's definitely all through the consistent marketing.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's educating people. There are still people who can't navigate a computer. Right. So those are people that probably are never going to quite grasp onto it. But, our parents are both on Facebook.
Yeah, it's funny.
So I feel like all of the social media is kind of working itself into there. And then, you know, with the web series, because you have people like Lisa Kudrow involved, Tom Hanks, all those, I feel like, you know, those big names are going to help bring awareness.
But when you're on the web, one thing we have to remember too is, I think some people feel like, well, it's only a web series, so they don't get the best sound. You know, they don't take the time to make sure the color looks right. And I think that can turn some people off. You know, so in a medium right now that's trying to grow, if you're going to take the time and you're going to create something, create it so that it looks just like it would look on television. You know, you've got to take the time to make it look professional.
And that's what's so amazing with doing web series is your own work, is you can buy a camera for, what, $1,200, you know, which... You know, my credit cards. Credit cards are your key to funding projects, you know, but they're just little things. I mean, programs that you can get, and you can buy them and share them on 4 computers. So your friends could go in, you know, I'm buying Final Cut Pro so you can learn, and
just take the time and make it look good.
Yeah, just don't rush it out. He has more ideas.
I want to continue this. We have
at least another season we'd like to do.
Yeah, I don't even know if we've even shot the full season yet, but we have about 10 more episodes we want to do. There's one that, the one that I have of a particular character going out into the desert, which everybody keeps saying to me they don't want to shoot in the desert. I keep saying it's going to be great. We're going to do that one next.
We're going to do other things first.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to that.
But it's funny, you know, a lot of people started off, and I did too, I thought, well, maybe this is a good vehicle to get us to something bigger. But now, I think a lot of people are, including myself, I'm thinking maybe this is a good way to go. You know, I mean, you can still get your message, you can still get your show to the world if you want to. So I have a desire to continue to do this kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, it's just amazing where this stuff can go. You know, we've been thinking, maybe we could try and shop it to Swim TV, you know, Adult Swim, and stuff like that. And you never, I mean, look at Tosh.0. He started, you know, doing his own thing, and it's just awareness and, you know, continuing to put stuff out there and let people know you're there.
But again, the beautiful thing is you don't need anybody's permission. You don't have to wait for a studio to do something. If I want to go out and shoot in the desert tomorrow, with the exception of my friends saying I'm not doing it, or my wife, I can just go out there and do it.
Just you and your cameraman.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do that as long as people let me, you know? Till my wife takes my camera away, I guess.
All right, well, thank you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing more episodes. What I'd like to highlight from today's episode of my interview with Marcus and Mindy was they did something that's unique, something I think is really important. They scheduled a start and a stop time for their shooting days. That way, the crew and the cast, they know what's expected of them, and they don't have the feeling that they may work an 18-hour day or whatever, and they don't feel that pressure that they can't ask, when is this going to be over with? When is the shooting day? And Marcus and Mindy told me their crew really appreciated that, and they wanted to stay longer. They wanted to go that extra mile, and they had a pleasant environment for them to work in. And that's real important on a web series. That's why their show turned out so upbeat and positive. And I think that's something that web series producers should keep in mind. I'm James Tucker, and you've been watching The Web Series Show.